What's up, everybody? I'm Jay. That's Maddie. This is Yankee and the Brit Divisional Round Pregame Show coming to you Saturday before the games.
Yeah, and I'm excited to be here. I mean, the Cowboys are here. I'm not sure I thought that at the start of the season, so pretty fucking happy about that. Let's go. Let's go.
So, I guess since Suge's listening and I haven't messaged him yet, I was going to reach out to him today and see if he'll do a half-hour show with me for the pregame tomorrow because Maddie won't be around. Me and him will do a postgame show. That way we can go over Suge picks and talk a little bit about football before kickoff. So let me know, Suge, if you got a half hour before kickoff tomorrow.
I mean, he's doing better on the picks than we are so far, so maybe he's worth listening to, right?
We don't talk about that. We don't talk about, hey, you got at least one right. I'm fucking over, bro.
Yeah, I've got one.
That's the nicest comment we ever got. Shout out to Moose. Nicest comment ever.
It's not our usual clientele, that right there.
Yeah, I'm used to being told we suck on certain NFL sites.
Just got told, like, I remember one of the last videos we did, I just got told that there was a lot of orange on the screen. Just a lot of orange.
Beautiful humans.
Cheers, Steve.
I've been called a lot worse, so I'm like, I'm going with
works
it.
For me.
Like,
works for me. Is Steve in a state where weed is legal? Is that what's happened?
Yes.
He is. Okay, that makes sense. That makes sense.
Actually, he's going to show me around the best dispensaries when I'm out at the Hot Box in March. I'm so excited. I know this is a football show, but I am so excited for the Street Beefs Hot Box event that we got invited, that my wife and I get to go out there, meet all the people we've been talking to. It's going to be exciting.
That's so great.
Yeah.
That's so great.
So, Maddie, besides the Cowboys game, because that's an obvious, what game are you looking most forward to this weekend?
Bills, definitely. For me, I'm just excited about it, just because the Bengals should lose, right? Like, realistically, the Bengals should lose this game. They've lost both their tackles. Kappa's not playing. Like, they should lose. This game should be over. Realistically, it takes away everything that the Bengals do well. That deep ball, like, Joe Burrow is going to have no time in the pocket. Yet still, this is when Joe Burrow comes out and does his best shit, when his back's up against the wall and he's just thrown from the hip. And on top of that, the Bills tried to lose that game last week. I'm convinced. Like, there's no way that Josh Allen was playing that badly, not on purpose. Got to be. No. But Josh Allen played so badly last week, and it's in his character, and I'm starting to become less of a believer in the Josh Allen hype. He gets these streaks where he just can't hold on to the ball and can't play good football.
Yeah, and it's odd. And I know this is jumping around, but since we're talking about it, let's just start with that game because, shocker for you, I picked the Buffalo Bills to go to the Super Bowl, but I really think the Bengals might win this game.
Yeah, it's something about what happened with the Bills last week. That Miami team should have been nowhere near them. And the Bengals might not have to be great on offense if they can do the same thing to Josh Allen. And the Bengals defense is sneaky good. It's been sneaky good all year. And it's a difficult game anyway. I think the Bengals will be going in there feeling pretty pissed off with how everything was handled in terms of the Hamlin game, because they looked like they were going on to win that game. And this game should really be in Cincinnati if that's the case. And the way that the rules go, this game should really be in Cincinnati, a home game for them. And I think they're going to go into Buffalo, or at least on a neutral field. And I think they're going to go into Buffalo and with fireworks, like, lit up their arse.
So I'm still picking. I still think the Bills are going to win this game. I think it's going to be very close, but I am taking Cincinnati in the 5.5 points in this game because that's how close I think it'll be, and the Bills eke it out at the end. That's my pick.
Yeah, and I think that was a really good comment there on Chase looking really good as well, and that's dangerous. And that Bills secondary has been banged up all year. Like, the way that Bengals wide receiver room looks is fucking crazy. Like when you go from wall to wall to wall, from player to player to player, in that wide receiver room, you think it should be ranked like realistically higher than. It's probably one of the most underrated wide receiver rooms in the league. Chase looks amazing. The defensive line for Buffalo has been getting a bit weaker, so can they make the most of those tackles missing? Um, the guy that they've got starting at right tackle, he's a relatively high first round, but he played for Auburn, right? So he's played in high level games before. It's not like he's brand new to the fucking game. Like backups become starters. That's what happens in the NFL. And he could come out and play a game. I'm going to take the Bengals to win, but give me the 5 points.
You mean you're taking the Bills to win, but you're
No. Bengals to win.
oh, but you want that, yeah, but you
I
like
want the
that you
5
have the
points,
5
not
points.
money line straight
Yeah.
up, not straight
So
up. But
betting wise, I'm with you. Bengals plus 5.5, but I think the Bills eke it out at the end. The weird thing about the Bengals and the Bills is, besides everything that happened, is they're two teams that can lay an egg or come out on fire.
yeah, definitely. Where do you rank Joe Burrow compared to Josh Allen?
I think Josh Allen's above Joe Burrow, but not by much. I would have to make a whole rating list, of quarterbacks, but they're both top 5 if you ask me.
I think Mahomes, Allen, Burrow might be the top 3 in the NFL right now. And
Now,
Mahomes this season has been better than the
I
two of
agree
them.
with you because we can't put him there, but I think a better comparison of like a neck and neck for that third spot is Burrow and Herbert.
Yeah, Burrow, Herbert. Lawrence will come into that
What
conversation
makes
further down.
Josh Allen better is they all can do the same things, but Josh Allen can do more because he's huge. He'll run the ball. He's the size of a D end.
Yeah, but I also think Josh Allen becomes more frantic than like Mahomes kind of always looks frantic, but never really is frantic. And he's in this amazing offense that they just have it going together. But I think Burrow looks less frantic, 100%.
Trevor Lawrence could make a name for himself today.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
let's Shug segue this because let's go to that Jags Chiefs game. Since we're talking about all the quarterbacks, that's 2 of them. The Chiefs are favored by 9.5. I don't think it's going to be that big of a difference. And I think this is another game where the Jags could shock some fucking people. So give me the Jags plus the 9.5 in this game.
So the last year, the 2 teams that came off the bye lost. I just want to make that very clear before we move on to another game where I think I don't think it's as big of a deal for the Chiefs as it will be for the Eagles, who we're going to talk about later. The Chiefs are an experienced team, experienced coaching staff, experienced QB in this situation right now. They've had the bye before. It's not a big deal to them. But the way that the Jags came back, if they get to that poor start against the Chiefs, they won't be able to bring it back like that. There's no way. However, the 9.5 points seems like a lot to me. The Jags can run the ball. You can throw on this Chiefs defense. You can easily throw on this Chiefs defense. Look at what the Raiders did to them with Jared Stidham. Like you're able to throw on this. You're able to throw on this team. And Trevor Lawrence, although I'm a bit like, right, guys, he needs to fucking justify the hype. Like let's calm down. Let's calm down a little. Like he's made the playoffs. He's made the playoffs one time. He looked dreadful in the first half last week, and then great in the second. But Trevor Lawrence is going to be probably one of the top 5 QBs in the league within the next 2-3 years.
Well, and so the last 10 games, Travis Etienne's been playing like one of the best backs in the league. That always helps. The Jags can play defense. People forget the Jags have a defense. That's something that, like, because we talk so much about Trevor Lawrence, Etienne doesn't get talked about. The defense doesn't get talked about. And I'm going to say this again. The most important piece of that team this year is Doug Peterson.
Yeah, 100%. I think it's one of the situations where Andy Reid has a coach around his level. like in terms of
He's
coaching.
had Reed's like number
Yeah.
before in games too, so it's not like he's a stranger to how to defend and play against and do your offense against an Andy Reid driven team. They played earlier this year. It was a pretty close game too. I can't remember what the final score was.
Yeah, I think they're coming into this game thinking, why is everyone writing us off? Like, I don't they're coming in and going like, I don't understand why everybody's writing us off. I don't get it. We're division champs. We've got young talented quarterback, young talented running back. As you said, a decent defense. But with all that being said, the Chiefs are on the other side of the ball. That's why they're getting written off. Patrick Mahomes and the way that the Chiefs system has looked this year is it seems less prone to mistake. Like it seems like they will just march that ball down the field. It's not the same as the Bills and the Bengals where it's fire or they look lost. They have a plan every time they go in and they can just march balls down the field now, which is something that the Chiefs teams have been missing. So it's going to be a big to slow down that Chiefs defense. I think the Jags will score a lot of points. I just think the Chiefs will score more. But give me the uh, give me the Jags to be within 9.5.
See, that's it. I feel like I got both covered with that bet because I think it's going to be a close game. I think there's a slight chance of an upset and the Jags could win, but I'm leaning that the Chiefs win this game. So I feel comfortable with the Jags plus 9.5.
Yeah, I just feel the Jags will have to score too many points. Like if they had, say they had two more wide receiver, like one more wide receiver weapon, like a stellar number one wide receiver. Like Christian Kirk's been great this season, but like he's a great number two. If they had, say, imagine if they had like a JJ on that team or something like that, then you go, right, okay, they might have enough in the tank here, but maybe just this is still 1 year too early.
Yeah, poor Tony never got a team that did him any justice. I think the only time he ever made the playoffs was with the Falcons, which is sad because he's one of the top three tight ends, maybe even the best that have ever played the game. But I put him, Gronkowski, and Shannon Sharp as the top three I've ever watched play.
Travis Kelce's got to be getting up there, though, right?
Yeah, I'm talking out of football guys. Like we can,
Right, okay,
I'm not putting these guys in until they're out. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Like I used to leave Gronk out because he was still playing.
I see. I get it. That makes sense.
It makes it easier. It makes it
Yeah.
easier.
That's what I was gonna say. I was gonna say it's a great way to fucking cover your back there, mate. Like, good job. Good job. Yeah.
So before we get on to the other two games, though, because you're in the situation with your team, the Chiefs are in it with Eric Bieniemy every year. These interviews during the playoffs, man, how do we feel about these interviews during the playoffs?
I think you've just got to wait. I sense to do them in the playoffs. Like they're the most like, and if you wait until the end of the playoffs, you see if you guys really got it in the postseason when it fucking counts. Like, you know what I mean? Like if the team was to fall apart in the postseason, like you're not gonna want to hire them. And I'm talking from a situation where it's like fucking hands off Kellen Moore. Like we need him.
Well, Dan Quinn's got what, like fucking 9 interviews this week? I
Yeah,
think it's 6, but yeah, like, gee.
Yeah, Kellen Moore, Dan Quinn. Like, I think we can be up there with the best coaching staff in the league. And Mike McCarthy does a good job of managing those two and like getting out of their way, which is like an interesting way for the head coach to be, isn't it? Like it feels like those two run the show behind the barrier of Mike McCarthy. Like Mike McCarthy is like the shield for those two to work their magic.
Yeah, and see, I know I get the argument where everybody's like, you got to wait till after the season, but we all know this is the NFL. So what's going to happen is those guys are going to be left out because they're going to back channel all the coaches they want to fucking talk to and come up with agreements before the Super Bowl is over. And then the day after the Super Bowl, fucking 7 coaches are going to be just instantly announced. You see it at free agency. How the fuck do teams come up with these contracts on these high-end free agents 9 minutes into the free agency? They work that shit out well before free agency starts.
Yeah, of course. But I think those guys that are going that deep into the playoffs are the guys that are really worth it. So if you're really thinking as your team, why not wait 3 weeks? Like 3 weeks. Like what's the difference going to be in having them in the building 3 weeks early if they're the fucking guy? You know, like
Well, and
you're
they always use Eric Bieniemy as the argument. Like, you can't do it because that's why Eric Bieniemy doesn't have a job. No, Eric Bieniemy doesn't have a job. One, because he's Andy Reid's offensive coordinator, so people don't
yeah,
know if he can really. And two, just go look at what happened with him when he coached Colorado. There's a lot of behind the shit scene, or a lot of shit behind the scenes that people fail to talk about. Alcohol, enticing players with scantily clad women. I'm not even sure how else to put that without being very disrespectful to the type of exotic dancers. There you go. Like, I'm
right.
not sure what they, but like, there's some weird shit that happened with him that is nobody talks about. The second you hire him, it all comes back.
Yeah, definitely. And I think the point on Eric Bieniemy is that if Andy Reid's offensive coordinator is like your weak hand, right? Like, yeah, I need to use it sometimes. Really, it's not the most important thing in my life, you know? Like, Eric Bieniemy may have some input on the Kansas City Chiefs offense, but realistically, Andy Reid is calling every play, drawing up every play, and going from there.
Yeah, and if the people really wanted him, then they'd hire him. Hence, Kevin O'Connell went to the Super Bowl
Yeah.
and won it and still got a job. So if they really want a guy, they're going to get it. So Eric Bieniemy is a bad argument in that, when people
Yeah.
use that. But I think it's weird that Dan Quinn's got all of these interviews and he's trying to get ready to go up against. If you guys win too, you're going up against the two best teams in the NFC.
Yeah, definitely. But I think he's a guy that can handle that kind of pressure. Like I don't feel like
I
he'll really
agree,
get in
but
the
he
way of his
shouldn't
job
have
too
to.
much. Yeah, I don't think he should have to. I think it should be left until the end because it's unfair on the best of the best coaches to have to deal with this pressure all the time. Also, I don't think much happens in terms of the football, the head coach carousel until Sean Payton makes his decision. Because Sean Payton's every guy's number one choice, right? Sean Payton has to be every team's number one choice. So you wait for Sean Payton to make his decision, and then all the other cards fall into place from that.
Yeah, and maybe they should start letting them interview the Pro Bowl week.
Yeah, like that week off.
Yeah,
Go through
that's when you
all
can
your
start.
interviews in a week off. Yeah,
Because if you really want one of the Super Bowl coordinators, you're going to wait until the Super Bowl's over and hire them, but you can talk to them a week before the Super Bowl when they have less shit to do except for more media shit. And I know coaches try to use every minute for everything in every game, but can you really game plan against a team for 2 weeks straight without going over the same shit? There's time.
yeah, and if it's a job that you really want, you make the time. That's the other part of it, isn't it? You maybe cut a film session a little shorter than you would
This is
if it
just
wasn't.
strange too. Like, so Wes Phillips, the Vikings offensive coordinator, which we all know it's really Kevin O'Connell,
Mm-hmm.
turned down an interview to be the offensive coordinator for the Chargers.
That seems weird to not want to go and work with Justin Herbert, doesn't it? Like that might be an indictment on Brandon Staley right there.
Or the ownership. Yeah,
Yeah.
unless you're thinking Staley's gone after next year, and I don't want to be one and done.
Yeah, exactly. Like, yeah, you don't want your first like offensive coordinator position to be underneath Brandon Staley with this amazing Chargers offense that should just click from the jump and never seems to get going because of what Brandon Staley's doing to it. Really, you must be happy about Donatello losing his job.
I'm not happy a man lost his job because he has other coaches and families that are going to go down. But as a
Yeah,
fan, I am glad he is no longer the defensive coordinator.
yeah.
Very happy, and
Sorry
I
for trying to make
pray
you
they
look
go
bad.
back to a 4-3. I just pray they go back to a 4-3. I watched somebody cut up some clips on YouTube the other day, which it was a great cut up, but he's going to be taken down at some point because it's NFL clips. But they had Danielle Hunter in coverage so many times. And it's like, why the fuck would you put Danielle Hunter covering a wide receiver? It's stupid. It makes no sense. And I just hated the whole scheme. So, and to run a 3-4, you have to have ridiculous speed on the field.
Yeah, I think like I remember the Cowboys trying to get a 3-4, and the Cowboys have always been quite fast on defense, and it still didn't work. And we have a guy called Micah Parsons on the field, and he sometimes dropped back into coverage.
Don't ever do it. He can do it, but don't ever do it.
Yeah, exactly. It's just like, just because he can doesn't mean he fucking should, you know?
Right.
Like, just leave the guy in the, like, what's the most important thing a defense can do? Sack the fucking quarterback. Like, if you can put pressure on the quarterback, sack the quarterback, the ball gets out, the ball has to come out faster, which means you don't have to cover as long. So you don't need to make a, like, maybe once or maybe twice a game to, like, change up the look. Like, put him in, like, when the Lions have dropped Aiden Hutchinson a couple of times and he's got 2 picks from it, like, that kind of thing may be all right.
That's trickeration, though. That's a little different.
Yeah, exactly. Like, don't make one of Micah Parsons' jobs be coverage. It makes no sense.
Right. And I like what you said. Even though you can do it, you don't have, like, you shouldn't do it. Like, that is not, he can cover linebacker, or I mean, he's a linebacker that can cover tight ends and running backs without a problem.
Yeah.
But you want him more as a D end. You want him coming all the time at the quarterback, just attacking the quarterback, because pressure is just as good as sacks at some points.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, Micah Parsons could probably play fucking running back if he wants to. Micah Parsons could do, like, safety. Like, he could do it all. But why? It makes no sense. Don't do it. So don't do it with Danielle Hunter, who Danielle Hunter is a great defensive player. He's not fucking Micah Parsons, though. Not the same caliber guy.
Not built to run with these guys. It's so ridiculous. But all right, we'll get to these next 2 games, but let's get a quick word from Overtime Hustling.
What's good? It's your homie, Freezes Christ. Y'all know the deal. Make sure y'all head on over to overtimehustling.com, where you can catch all the latest merch, all the newest mags, all the media, everything, know what I mean? And you can also find me on Winging It with the homies Keith G, King Dell, and Payne Gusto. And you can catch me on Turf Tales with the homie SK. And if you got nothing to do on Sundays, even if you do got something to do, make sure you tap in the Overtime Reactions hosted by the homie Cuzzo. And I cannot forget the homie Jay over there at the Yankee and the Brit channel. So make sure y'all go over there and check them out. And hey, check me out, your boy Freezes, on that Real Talk with Jay. It was a hell of an interview, yo. Gotta do it again. I keep saying it because I mean it. We gotta do it again. I had a great motherfucking time. But anyway, you know who it is. Freezes H, OTH, Yankee and the Brit, Winging It, Turf Tales, Overtime Reactions, Chronicles Podcast. You know the drill, Cush's Corner. It's a motherfucking movement. So move with it or move out the motherfucking way. Simple and plain.
Overtime hustling, we hustling overtime.
All right. Thank you, Freezes. All right. Let's talk about the Giants at the Eagles. The Eagles are 7.5-point favorites. I'm just going to keep it real. I got the Eagles minus 7.5. I don't think this game is going to be as close as everybody thinks. And the Giants do well against bad defenses. They are not playing a bad defense.
Yeah. So Daniel Jones has all of a sudden become a top 10 quarterback in the NFL.
Do you know what his middle name is now, right?
No, go on.
Cha-ching, because that motherfucker's about to get paid.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, Daniel Jones has somehow become, like, getting sacked, will even be a backup quarterback in the NFL, to being a top 10 quarterback in the NFL. Like I've always said, Daniel Jones is somewhere in between that. Like, Daniel Jones is a good quarterback, and he has, like, every offense he's in is going to have a high floor because he has that ability to run. And he can analyze defenses. He's a smart guy. The wide receivers for the Giants are shocking. They played well for the first time since Daniel Jones has been there last week. That's the first time.
Well, that has a lot to do with the defense, but yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Like, they played well against a terrible defense. That's what That's what realistically happened. The Eagles are a juggernaut on that side of the ball. They've been banged up. That bye probably came at a good time for them, although how much experience do they have? Watching Jalen Hurts in the playoff game last week, last year, sorry, in the playoff game last year, he did get really tight during that playoff game. It looked like the nerves got to him. But I mean, that was his first playoff game. It was against Tom Brady and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The Eagles shouldn't have been there last year, like
And he was
realistically.
still fighting for his job last year. I think he's
Yeah.
pretty secure in his job now.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. It's how injured is Jalen Hurts? That's the question. So how much is Jalen Hurts' shoulder going to bother him? And we'll see. Because if Jalen Hurts is operating at 80%, and the Eagles O-line can kind of get it together with a few of the injuries that they're missing, and the secondary can kind of hold up with the injuries that they're missing, then the Eagles are going to win this game. But if Hurts is playing at 60% and he's not wanting to go out and run because he doesn't want to hurt his shoulder, that takes out a big part of their offense. Mike Vrabel's done a great job at coaching this year. Should be up for coach of the year in my mind, realistically. He seems to be some sort of quarterback whisperer. Like Josh Allen looked great with him there. Daniel Jones looks great with him there. Vrabel needs to be getting like a huge pay rise as well, as what's going to be given to Daniel Jones as well. I think it's probably going to be around 7. Like if it was 7.5, I'd probably take the.
No, it is 7.5.
It's 7.5. Cool. I'll take the Giants 7.5.
See, I think it's going to be 10 or more. I think the Eagles are going to run on the Giants. They're not going to leave it all on Hurts. And there's this thing in the NFL called Toradol. So I don't think Jalen Hurts is going to be feeling anything in that
Just
shoulder.
not going to be feeling that left shoulder at all.
Yeah, no, I don't think he'll be feeling that shoulder at all during that game. And I think guys like Jalen Hurts understand it's all or nothing. The next 3 games, if you want to win the whole thing, it's all or nothing. And if they got to be injured for 3 months in the offseason, they're willing to do it to try to get that ring.
Yeah, and I think Jalen Hurts is such a leader of a team, isn't he? He's not going to leave anything. He's not going to leave anything on the pitch. Like we know that. Also, by the way, I'm working with a school which is run by an American guy, and I was saying like, oh yeah, we're just going to go play out on the pitch and stuff like that. And he was like, what the fuck? Like, what the fuck does that mean? I didn't realize that it's field, like not pitch. Like, I obviously knew you guys say field more often, but I didn't know that. Like, you just didn't know what a pitch.
Yeah, like I knew what it was, but that's because I watch a lot of English TV shows and movies.
Yeah. It's crazy. Yeah, he's gonna leave everything out on the field, and yeah, he's gonna leave everything out there. For that playoff game, because that's the kind of leader he is.
Are we the only the only NFL pregame show coming live from Columbia? We might be.
Maybe. Sounds good. That's a good selling point.
Yeah.
Get that in the USB.
Yeah, fucking live from Columbia, NFL pregame. So, yeah, I think the Eagles have a good shot at winning this by double digits, and I feel like the Giants won their Super Bowl last week.
Yeah, definitely. The Giants are probably another team who are here a year too early. I know what I'm getting with the Giants, but there's a lot of question marks over the Eagles in terms of, is Lane Johnson playing? Can the offensive line hold up with the injuries? Can the secondary hold up with the injuries? How injured is Jalen Hurts? But even with those question marks, the Eagles are probably still going to win it. But the Giants have been good at keeping it in close games. They played each other the last game of the season. The Eagles didn't get away from them, even though they were playing their full team. Even though the Giants were playing backups and the Eagles were playing their full team. So interesting game. 22-16.
I'm also
against the Giants backups.
I'm also a believer in trends, and it never turns out well when one of your players decides to celebrate on the center emblem of another team's logo, and Thibodeau did that. So I think there's some football karma coming the Giants' way.
Yeah, I also think like it's a divisional matchup as well. Like, by the way, did anybody think at this point of the playoffs that there'd be 3 teams from the NFC in that NFC East?
Well,
Sorry,
not before the season.
yeah, not before the season, obviously. Yeah, like there is guaranteed to be an NFC East team in the NFC Championship game. Like, I'm not sure many people would have thought that at the start of the season.
So let's go on to that game that I know your heart's in and that you're waiting for. And that we all knew that no matter who won that game, they were playing Sunday because there's no way you were going to have a team play Monday and Saturday. So we knew that this would be a Sunday game. They decided to leave it to the last game. And if you think about it, the 49ers only favored by 3.5. So Las Vegas is saying on a neutral field, the 49ers are a half of a point better.
Yeah, and I mean, I think we stack up really well against the 49ers. I think I think if you look at the way that our team stacks up, the 49ers are a great team for us to play against. I think Brock Purdy looked stiff last week. Like for a while in that game against the Seahawks, Brock Purdy looked stiff, and that's against the Seahawks defensive line. Our defensive line is pace, stunting. Will he be able to pick that up? Will he be able to see what we're doing at the Colt and get that ball out? Our secondary is good enough to stand up to, well, most of our secondary is good enough to stand up against the 49ers. I did. A few guys came out and played some great games. I can't remember the guy's name, but Bland was great on the outside, and we found another inside cornerback as well. And then obviously Diggs on the other side. So the secondary looks strong. I mean, admittedly, Tom Brady was throwing from his back foot and cowering away from hits the entire game last week. So maybe that was a bit of an illusion as to how good our secondary was. But they look good in coverage. I also think we have the guys to look after Christian McCaffrey. Like, we looked awful when Leighton Vander Esch was out on defense. Leighton Vander Esch is back now, and he's looking good. Our run game, we've managed to stop the run game with Vander Esch there.
Yeah, it's that blocking for the 49ers. Those linemen get up on linebackers, and I don't care how good Micah Parsons is and how good any of the linebackers are. If you get one of those 49ers catching you in the back or catching you 5 yards upfield as a linebacker, you're fucked. And I think that's, to my point, is I think that 3 things are going to determine this game: the Cowboys' offensive line, the Cowboys' defensive line, because I already have faith in the 49ers' defensive line to get at Dak, and if Dak turns back into Dak. If he plays like he did last week, you're good. If he turns back into Dak, you guys might be in trouble.
Yeah, I have full trust in our offensive line this year. Like I think our offensive line has played well enough this year. Obviously, the 49ers are going to get sacked against
best line in the league.
Yeah, they're going to get sacks against any team. It doesn't matter how good your offense. It's how much can you limit them play by play. They're going to get sacked.
It's the pressure too. Dak's been a turnover machine. So my guess is their whole game plan is to pressure Dak and make him feel uncomfortable.
Yeah, definitely. And I'm glad that Dak got that game under his belt last week. And I agree with you. I know we didn't talk about the Cowboys game last week, but I agree with you in the way that the Bucs were just outmatched on the field, and they had a terrible game plan. They couldn't get on Dak whatsoever. It's probably not a fair summary of like Dak is probably somewhere in the middle of that Commanders game and that Bucs game.
Not to you and me, but to the guys in those locker rooms, it makes a difference.
Yeah, makes a huge difference to Dak. That's what I'm saying. Like, I'm glad he just got that out of his, like, whatever the fuck was going on with him. Like,
if he plays like last week, you have a shot at the Super Bowl. If he plays like he did the last 11 games or whatever it was, or 7 games, whatever it was, then you're in trouble. But I think it comes down to your offensive line. Can they keep Dak like clean? If they can keep him clean, it's good. You're fine. If they get a ton of pressure on Dak, then it becomes a problem. I think it's the 49ers defense is good, but like we've talked about, you can throw on them if you can get the time. So that's the thing. And then
exactly,
I maybe I'm a prisoner of the moment. Maybe I'm caught up in the hype, but I think Brock Purdy's the real fucking deal. And as a rookie to come in and the way they've played over the last 10 or 11 games, and yeah, he looked a little rough at times, but that's his first time in the playoffs as Mr. Irrelevant. I think Shanahan's going to – it's not the players for the 49ers you have to beat if you're the defense. It's Shanahan's schemes.
Yeah, definitely. And it's player for player, we stack up with the 49 as well. Like, if you look at us, if you break it down, player for player, the defensive line just goes to San Francisco. Like, that's both of our team's strengths is the defensive line, and they're probably just better. Our secondary is better, in my opinion. Our wide receivers are better. Obviously, when you include like Deebo Samuel, like he's more gadgety than
Christian McCaffrey's pretty much a receiver at times too.
Exactly, that's what I mean. But then we have Tony Pollard, our version of Christian McCaffrey. We're two very similarly run teams. Christian McCaffrey's better than fucking Tony Pollard. Don't anybody.
I get what you're saying.
Don't anybody clip that and make me look like a dick, like saying that Tony.
No, I like Tony Pollard, and I got what you were saying, but yeah.
Skip Bayless has been coming out and saying that Tony Pollard is better than Christian McCaffrey recently, and he just sounds like a fucking idiot.
Skip Bayless is a scumbag, and he doubled down on his scumbagness this year with his comments to Shannon Sharp about being. He's in the Hall of Fame. Go fuck yourself. And Shannon's better at being a tight end than Skip was ever good at, or better at anything in his life. Skip has not been as good at anything in his life as Shannon was as a tight end, and he had enough balls to talk shit. And then his insensitive tweets. So Skip's been doubling down on dumbassness this year.
Yeah, well, Shannon Sharp's a better sports commentator than him as well. Like, just to add to that as well, he's better at their current job that they do together. Anyway.
Yeah, did we really call him that? I didn't hear that, but yeah.
Yeah, he said he was kind of going like, so what, or something like that. Like, I'm in the Hall of Fame, and he was like, so
no,
what?
I meant with the Christian McCaffrey and Tony Pollard.
Oh yeah. Sorry, yeah, he said that Pollard's better than. He said no. He said he'd take Pollard over McCaffrey because of the injuries, but McCaffrey's injuries you can get over. He just was like getting killed in Carolina. Like, now he has. That's the thing. Yeah, so I think we stack up well. This should be an incredible game. Probably the two biggest fan bases in American football. Probably the Cowboys is definitely number one in terms of size of fan base, but the 49ers probably number two.
There was a study, and it's actually the Steelers.
All right. Number two or number one?
Number one. Most fan base in the U.S.
In the U.S.?
Yeah, in the U.S.
But then the Cowboys have all the international. The Cowboys have
the Cowboys were like number two or whatever, fan base. But yeah, it was Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh got some rock solid fans everywhere. Green Bay was top five also.
Yeah, I knew Green Bay would be top five. Yeah, I mean, I saw a guy with a 49ers jersey on the way down from a hike in Colombia today, so that was fun.
Well, the Vikings are undefeated in across the pond. And we've won in all three venues. Nobody else can say that. So that should be the world's team.
You go. The world's team. Yeah, definitely.
So I'm going to tell you reluctantly, I'm picking the 49ers, but I do not feel good about that pick.
I'm taking the Cowboys for
I knew that, but yeah.
Yeah. I'm taking and I feel secretly confident about it as well. Like, normally I'd take the Cowboys.
Good or is that bad?
Taking the Cowboys. That's good.
Okay, because I'll tell you, whenever I go into a Vikings game with no nerves, we lose.
I'm not. No. I'm nervous as shit. Don't get me wrong. Like, I'm nervous as shit. I'm more confident about it than I thought I would be. Like, when I worked out our path to the Super Bowl, I was like, yeah, we're fucked. Like, there's we're in real shit, because even if we get past the Bucs, we won't make it past the 49ers. But having sat down, I've actually had some chance to sit down and actually watch some fucking film and watch some just any American football stuff. So I've actually had a chance to go through it, and I'm like, actually, the Cowboys are a pretty good football team when Dak doesn't turn the ball over, and Dak doesn't normally turn the ball over. And also, the way to nullify that that pass rush is to get running the ball. The issue is they're quite good at defending the run in that defensive line as well.
Yeah, the 49ers do that stop the rush, the run on the way to the quarterback type of defense.
Yeah, like better than anyone. Yeah.
And I guess it's all relative when you say normally, because I've seen Dak throw 11 picks in like the last 2 months. So I guess I don't know what you mean by normally.
Well,
He
like
doesn't turn the ball over.
his entire career outside of this 2 months, he's not like his turnover differential is really good.
He impressively has the record for turnovers, the interceptions this year, while missing 5 games. But if you guys can get an upset if the Eagles can get upset by the Giants and you can win this game, you got an NFC Championship game at home.
Yeah, that's a lot of shit that's got to happen.
Yeah, but it's crazy that even think that that's still a possibility.
Yeah, we're only one. Like, it's not actually. It's only 2 results away from being done, isn't it? Which isn't too bad. Yeah. There's no way that they can get it at MetLife Stadium. That makes me happy, so that's fine. But yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited about this weekend's football. Also, it makes us look really good that the NFC East is actually a legit division again, which is really nice.
Well, I'm trying to recover from my picks of last week, so we'll see how that goes, because I just got my ass whooped.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a rough one, but make sure you guys tune in tomorrow. It'll be me and Shug from Overtime Hustling, give you a quick 30-minute show before kickoff. Maddie and I will come back and wrap up the week for you. And Maddie's in Colombia doing some Colombian shit. So I don't know if that's drug smuggling, picking coffee. I'm not quite sure, but he's doing some Colombian shit.
It's mainly picking coffee, not much of the drug smuggling, but
I think there's more money in the other one. I'm just saying.
I've got some cool stories about the house that we're staying in, but I'll tell you off air.
It's Maddie Curly Escobar.
Yeah, that's me.
You're gonna be like the new El Chapo and shit.
El Curly.
El Curly. I like it.
Curly.
I like
it.
That's
that's the one.
We're gonna change your name to El Curly on there. The Yankee and El Curly. All right, guys. Well, you're like 10 minutes from kickoff, so enjoy the games. I'm excited. This should be a great week because I know who I think is going to win, and we went over that. But I think there's a possibility in all 4 games that the other team wins this game.
Yeah, that's nice in this round of the playoffs. That I'm not overly confident in any. If I got blown out, went 0-4 in my picks this week, I wouldn't be surprised.
Well, I think with the games we have, we almost have a coin flip chance of going 50-50 at least.
Yeah. Hopefully, I did make some week. That was really shit.
Well, thanks for watching. We'll be back with you to wrap up the wild card weekend. One world, one love. Deuces.
Cheerio.